Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. There we go. Instagram in full effect. What's going on, everybody? Let me mute this here real quick. All right, what is going on? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Sleeper show right on the dot, 8 a.m. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Got a busy day today. We got a little Lakers Dallas Mavericks coming up tonight. It should be a fun game. Lakers, what do they got? I think 6 games in a row at home. So we got a lot to get into. Thank you for being a part of the show. I got a quick quote for everybody here to get the show started. Do I do 1 or 2 this morning? I always say I'm going to do 1. I end up doing 2. One small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. One small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. Let's do one more. Being calm in tough situations is a superpower. Being calm in tough situations is a superpower. All right. Appreciate you guys hanging out here. Hopefully some of those quotes are productive. Hopefully they're helpful. If anybody has a quote that they want to lob to everybody else, throw it my way and I'll make sure to highlight it. We got a great show lined up today. We got a lot going on. Let me give everyone just a quick little rundown, and then we'll get the show started. Cheers to everybody. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning coffee. I think I'm giving up coffee for Lent. I think it's in about a week. Got Ash Wednesday, I think a week from tomorrow. So I got it's a big decision for me. Coffee's a kind of a staple here. I get a lot of cups of coffee throughout the day. All right, let me give everyone a quick idea what we got going on for the show. I'll take a quick look at some of the comments, and then we'll get this bad boy started. Lakers hosting the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Well, that's going to be fun. Obviously, Luka getting his first shot to take on the team that traded him. No surprise here. Game's going to be nationally televised. 7 p.m. tip-off. It's going to be on TNT. Should be a really fun matchup. So we'll talk a little bit about the game. How personal is this for Luka? You know, I got a couple angles on this. I think it's personal, but I think it can only be so. I think it could only be so personal tonight, just based off of who's available for Dallas, right? Like, I'm sure AD's going to want to take a game like this personal, but he's not out there tonight. So we'll just kind of look at it from that perspective. But I think reflecting a little bit as well on that trade that went down and how the Dallas Mavericks just kind of had Luka walking out the door, right? It's kind of it's how he left is really, I think, the portion, or how they had him leave, is the portion that I think made a lot of this so interesting. They were really smearing him on his way out. Playoff matchup. Kevin Garnett was on All the Smoke podcast, and we'll pretend here for a second. Let's pretend that it was Lakers and the Mavs in the playoffs. That'd be actually unbelievable. And let me tell you this as well. It'd be a really, really tough matchup for the Lakers. I mean, if Dallas is healthy, they got a squad. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Dallas because they're not healthy, because Luka ended up being a Los Angeles Laker. That's the sexier story. Dallas has got a really good team. The problem is going to be, are they going to be healthy? So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Max Christie makes his return back to Los Angeles for the Lakers. He had some quotes that I want to read as well. So I think he's going to get a lot of love from Laker fans. He is a fantastic, fantastic young player. Was he 21, 22 years old? I think a lot of Laker fans were starting to fall in love with Max Christie, and he obviously goes. Sammy Long, who did a preview video for us, Lakers and the Mavs, kind of went to all the details. That video's up right now. I think he put it out last night. He'll come on and help us kind of keep an eye out for a few things in tonight's game. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Got a couple things on the NFL, a couple things on the NBA, and then we'll call it a day. So thank you very much for being a part of the show. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Shout out to our partner here, the Wallace firm, official partner of the Sleewa Show. So thank you to them for being here. Let's get a couple of these comments in before we get started, and then we'll go. All right, let's see what we got here. Good morning, Sliwa, and he's got some bourbon on there. If you're a MVP member, you could use some of these special emojis. I don't think I'm doing bourbon in the morning here. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Slee. Happy Tuesday. Luka get back day. There we go. Now we're talking. Got these. I know you guys can't see them if you're on Instagram and stuff, but if you're on YouTube, you can see them. When I pop them up on my stream, I don't think you could see them as well. But something to keep in mind there. Here's a quote here. Don't give an argument 5 minutes if it won't matter in 5 years. I like that. Yeah, give me more of those. People got some good quotes. I want to see some of that. All right, let's get the show started. If you send in some comments or some supers, I'll get into it in just a little bit. All right, Lakers and the Mavs tonight. So it's impossible to not look at this game for all the reasons that we're all going to be looking at this game. But before I do that, let me just mention here real quick. I hope the Lakers don't lose sight of the, hey, let's just go out and try to get another W. I know it's going to be tough to do so. Right now, if you look at every national broadcast out there, all the local broadcasts, I'm sure today, all around Southern California, everyone's going to be hyping up this game because the Lakers are taking on the Dallas Mavericks. One of the most shocking trades in NBA history went down. Obviously, the Mavs decided, nope, Luka's not good enough for us. We're going to move on. And of course, especially because it's the first time that these two teams are facing each other, there's going to be a lot of hype behind this game for that storyline. But what I don't want to get lost in this entire shuffle is Lakers right now, 34-21, 13 games over 500, number 4 spot in the Western Conference, only trailing Memphis and Denver by 2 games or 2.5 games, but only 1 game in the loss column. I'd hate for this to become such a personal matchup for Luka, or everyone kind of falls behind the hype that it's Lakers and the Mavs. And then all of a sudden, you're in the fourth quarter. And I think Lakers are, Sammy was saying, maybe 6-7 point favorites, something like that. You're in the fourth quarter, a couple minutes left to go, 6 minutes left to go. You got Kyrie on the other side, and the Lakers are in a dogfight where there's no guarantee or lock that they're going to get the win. I get it's going to be personal. I want it to be personal. This is part of the storylines that come with the NBA. This is what makes it more interesting. But I think for the Lakers, what you can't have happen is you get so distracted by all these storylines, you end up in a dogfight and then potentially lose a game that you're supposed to win against Dallas. So that's the only thing that I will say. I think, as much as you want to look at this game and you want to hype it up for all the reasons, let me actually take a look here. When are they playing, and are they playing at Dallas at any point this year? Okay, they got a game in April 9th at Dallas. That's really the game that I think it's a revenge game. They're going to go back to Dallas. That's the one I think it's going to be most hyped up because so many of these Mavs fans are so hurt that they lost one of the top players in the NBA. That's when I think Luka can take it a little bit more personal. That's also when probably, Anthony Davis and some of these other players are going to be back for the Mavs. That's when you're fighting for standings as well. I think that game in late or in early April 9th, that one probably will have better storylines and be a lot more interesting for the reasons that I'm talking about. I mean, if you look at the Mavs right now, and I put this here in my notes, you can only make this so personal. But it's really tough to make a game personal when Caleb Martin is out. Dwight Powell is listed as questionable. Anthony Davis is out. Daniel Gafford is out. Derek Lively is out. PJ Washington is listed as questionable as well. So, I mean, I love the storylines. I think there's obviously a lot of reasons why there's a lot of good storylines here, but it's not like this is the Dallas Mavericks team that Nico Harrison and the ownership of the Dallas Mavericks had in mind when they originally had the idea and the concept of trading Luka Doncic. So what should happen tonight is Lakers win this game, and they should win it comfortably. just because of the predicament, the situation. Lakers are playing good ball, and Dallas doesn't have a lot of their main players. So it will be fun. It will be hyped up properly, but it's not an equal matchup by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that part is interesting. What I think will be interesting is how Luka takes this game, right? Should Luka take this game personal? Of course he should. I think what we got a chance to see on Saturday was for the first time, and I mentioned this a couple different times. Yeah, the broadcaster's doing this too, in the middle of the broadcast, and I'm talking about ESPN's broadcast on Saturday night. How many different times would Luka hit a tough shot, or get an and one, or make a perfect pass to LeBron, or a step back 25-footer? And every time that happened, the broadcasters had to remind the Dallas Mavericks of like, oh my gosh, how tough is this on them that they got to see Luka doing this. Saturday night was the first time we got to actually see Luka Doncic as everybody's assuming Luka's going to be. So with that in mind, I think for Luka, of course, this game's going to be a little bit different. It was the most shocking trade in NBA history. Look at the way they dragged him through the mud on his way out. I don't think you could have, for the Dallas Mavericks, I don't think you couldn't have made a more shocking trade, a more questionable trade, a player that's just 25 years old and has, obviously all the accomplishments that he has. And oh, by the way, just got his team to the NBA Finals 8 months earlier. You couldn't have traded with all the question marks that were out there of why you would actually do this. But the way they tried justifying it after was truly as disrespectful as you can be to a superstar player. And I'm talking about Luka. And whether it was his conditioning, or whether it was culture fit, or whether it was, them really just saying like, yeah, we don't feel like we can win a championship with him, whether they said that directly or indirectly. I get it, from a personal standpoint for Luka Doncic. So I fully expect Luka to try to give it to his team. And let me say this, I think there's something about when I say out of shape and everything else. A lot of Laker fans have talked about his conditioning. I had Michael Thompson on a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, he's got to lose weight. A lot of Laker fans before Saturday night's performance is like, this guy's got to drop some LBs. I've said it myself, and I still say it today, that if he wants to be the best version of himself, he should lose 10 or 15 pounds or whatever that number is to get him to being the best version of himself possible, moving forward. But with that in mind, I thought Dallas did, so many things so publicly, and they looked so stupid in the process. It's going to be impossible for Luka. I've said this before as well. If Luka can't be motivated by how this trade went down and how Dallas got rid of him, and the reasons why Dallas, and they made things so publicly, and it felt like they were trying to justify, and in the process of justifying, made Luka look really, really bad. If he can't get motivated for this, I don't know what he's going to get motivated for. And I'm not talking about motivated just for one regular season matchup on February 25th against the Dallas Mavericks. I'm talking more about big picture of what this is all going to look like for Luka moving forward in his NBA career. So something to keep in mind there as well. All right, let me look at a couple comments here, and then I want to read something here. Kevin Garnett was making a prediction of the Lakers and the Mavs, and I want to talk about just what that would potentially look like if the Lakers and the Mavs actually played each other. And I think actually a lot of people are underestimating how good Dallas can be if they are healthy. So we'll do that here in just a second as well. Slee Show is my daily dopamine. Let's go Lakers. Victor, thank you, brother. I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate you being a member, and I appreciate the super. So thank you very much. I appreciate all that. Young West, the future belongs to those who believe in their dreams. Oof. Young West. I told people here, if they got quotes that are helpful, lob them in here. If I'm going to do a quote every morning and you guys got something too that is a good quote to share with everybody else, definitely throw them in there. The future belongs to those who believe in their dreams. Young West, thank you for the super, brother. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then I want to hit some of these quotes on on the All the Smoke podcast, KG talking about Lakers and talking about the Mavs. All right, let's see what we got here. A lot of people still talking about Dwight Howard. I moved off of Dwight Howard a long time ago, but I always see his name come up in chats. I always see his articles that come up. I always see things about Dwight Howard. I just want to remind everybody. I think that at one point that was a suggestion. Who did that suggestion come from? It might have come from Stephen A. Smith at one point, and Brian Windhorst was like, ain't happening. This guy hasn't been in the league in X amount of years and this and that. And anyway, so I don't think that's going to happen. Are we really going to believe in the propaganda report that Luka weighs 270? That's heavier than Zion. I don't think we have to believe in the propaganda report that he weighs exactly 270. But I think most people would agree that if I just told you, do you think he needs to lose some weight? Most people would be like, yeah, he should probably lose some weight. I think I sit more on that front. Do you think he should actually lose some weight? I think the answer is yes. I think he should be losing some weight. All right, let me look. Let me see a couple more here. Yeah, again, a lot of Dwight Howard. It's so funny to kind of see that. This is just another game. Let's keep playing well. Great defense and keep gelling. Yeah, that's the only thing that I'll say. I just don't want any of this to kind of get lost in the, hey, this is such a big game, and because it's such a big game and it's because of Dallas Mavericks that you find yourself, Luka kind of comes out of his game because he's trying to send a message there's no message to be sent on February 25th. There really isn't. I mean, I think if you want to send a message, send it April 8th, April 9th, whatever game that I said that's going to be when the Lakers are in Dallas, and maybe Dallas is fully healthy as well. All right, let's look at a couple more here. John Ferris, don't let yesterday take up too much of today. Another great quote. John, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you to drop that knowledge right there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Luka looking slim at yesterday's practice. He's locked in now. He was working out during the break. Yeah, I think for him, it had less to do with Luka's body. I think it had more to do with Luka mentally. Okay, let's keep rolling here because there's a couple more comments or a couple more topics I want to get into before Sammy joins us here at 8:30. So Kevin Garnett was on the All the Smoke podcast, and he had a quote here that I want to read for everybody. I mean, first, what he was doing, he was complimenting the Lakers, and he was complimenting Jackson Hayes, and he was talking about, just this Lakers team and everything else. Let me just read it here for everybody. He said that Dallas and the Lakers, I'm seeing it because I'm seeing with Hayes, it's a new Lively. He's talking about Derek Lively. If y'all see it, he can catch a lob. He's going to block your shot. Listen, my crystal ball says I got the Lakers and the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. That's going to break the internet. He was giving a lot of compliments to the Lakers, just in general, just compliments of, hey, Luka, with the personnel that he has on this Lakers team, can actually take a little bit of a page of what he was doing with the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think this roster is perfect. I don't think anybody would say that. I mean, Rob Pelinka doesn't believe the roster is perfect. We know that because he was trying to make a trade for Mark Williams, and we know what happened there. And obviously that didn't end up happening. But nobody thought the roster was perfect when they traded for Luka. But it is what it is. This is the roster. So the Lakers are now just going to have to figure out, based off of what they have, based off of the strengths that they think they have. They're going to have weaknesses. Okay, well, how do you fix some of those weaknesses? How do you fix some of those strengths? They're going to have to roll with the punches. I think it's interesting here. And, if we just kind of play KG's style here of the crystal ball says Lakers and the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. Let me say this. I think right now, when I say what are the elite teams in the Western Conference, I don't think a lot of people are talking about the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Mavs got a squad. I mean, I really, really do believe if the Dallas Mavericks are healthy, that's a problem. I remember talking about this right when the trade went down, and I know what's going on. I already listed out how many different players are out for the Dallas Mavericks. We know why Nico Harrison made the trade that he did, and I think a lot of people don't agree with him, but we know in his own mind why he was justifying it. Okay, hey, defense wins championships. If I can get Anthony Davis to play the floor, play the four, and I got Gafford and I got Lively and I got other players too that are kind of 3-and-D guys. I already got Kyrie Irving. His vision was, and we know Anthony Davis feels the same way about this as well. AD has always wanted to play the four. He was playing the five with the Lakers, and I think everybody agrees. Why aren't you getting another big? Why aren't you accommodating to what Anthony Davis wants? Remember when he had that interview with Shams Charania maybe about a month ago or so, and he tells Shams, this is what I need. And I remember going out and being like, why is Rob not just getting him exactly what he needs? Like, don't anger Anthony Davis, the most important player on your franchise. There's a lot of ifs that go with the Dallas Mavericks. And really, there's only one that matters. If they're healthy. But if you look at that roster that they put together, and their window is obviously in a much shorter window. I remember right when the trade went down, hey, if you told me that the Dallas Mavericks are going to play the Los Angeles Lakers, which team roster-wise looks better? I thought Dallas's roster looks better. This was before the trade deadline. This is just kind of, gauging right after that trade happened. Okay, well, we knew it was going to take a little bit of time for the Lakers to try to figure things out. But one thing that I think we don't know about this Lakers roster is, yes, they were brilliant against the Denver Nuggets. Yes, they were brilliant with how they guarded Nikola Jokic. Yes, they were brilliant that they were able to kind of blitz him and even with a smaller lineup have as much success as they did. But if the Dallas Mavericks are healthy, and this is a 7-game set against Dallas, that ain't an easy matchup. And I think, more teams are going to make adjustments, of course, to see, okay, how do you stop the Lakers? Okay, we understand it's Luka, it's LeBron, it's Austin Reeves. They got great role players that are around them as well. Heck, Rui Hachimura all of a sudden has been phenomenal, and Gabe Vincent's finding ways to be a contributor. And you kind of go down the list of all these different players that are contributing for the Lakers. The question's going to be how other teams adjust if Dallas walks into a playoff series. PJ Washington, healthy. Anthony Davis, healthy. Lively, healthy. Gafford, healthy. Caleb Martin, healthy. Go down Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, Max Christie. If all these guys are healthy, I don't think we should pretend that the Dallas Mavericks don't have a squad as well. It would be a fascinating matchup. It would be a fantastic matchup, but obviously we're not going to get that tonight. This is going to be a much watered down version of what the Dallas Mavericks are. And we have no idea. I mean, here's the reality. We have truly, truly no idea if Dallas will ever be healthy and if Nico Harrison's vision that he had in mind will ever come to fruition. But it's a really, really good team. And, we'll have to see what eventually happens. But their window, the window that I think they have is this like 2 to 3 year window where they're trying to potentially win an NBA championship, and that's going to be their vision of how they do it. But that team they also got a squad, and I think it's very, very easy to look at them and just pretend like they don't have anything. I think they got a good squad. Now the question is going to be, can they even get in the playoffs? Will they be healthy? I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be interesting for that team as we move along. All right, let's keep looking here. I want to look at some of the other comments here, and then I want to get into Max Christie here real quick, and then we'll get to Sammy Long coming up in about 5 minutes. All right, let's get one here. Armando Silva. If Luka loses weight, he might be better and faster on defense. I think his defense is always going to be his defense, right? Like I think I actually think it's been blown out of proportion about his defense. I think there's been plenty of MVP caliber players that don't play good enough defense and are still MVP caliber players. But I feel like for Luka, that one's been blown a little bit out of proportion. All right, let me look at another one here. Let's look at another one here. All right, this one was Muse basically saying that nobody wanted to hear about a 7-footer complaining about playing center. Okay, Muse, here's the only difference that I'll mention this to you, and I think this is something to keep in mind. It has less to do, in my opinion, with what Anthony Davis wanted. It had more to do with, wasn't the team better with AD at the 4? Like, I think Lakers had tremendous amount of success with AD at the 4. So I think that's why AD was bringing it up. And I think that's why a lot of other people were bringing it up as well. All right, here's what we got. Max gone. End up back here when he's older, more mature player. I'm calling it. He had some quotes. I'm going to read you guys some quotes here from Max Christie. By the way, Max Christie, I'm going to point out some games here for Max Christie. Because since he got traded from the Lakers, no real surprise here, but you guys remember the game that Lakers played the Knicks, and then it was just, an hour later that he got traded. That game, he had 15 points. He was 6 of 10 from the field. He was just solid. Good defender, doing a great job on Jalen Brunson. Here's what Max Christie has done since he got traded. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 15.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 23 points, 15 points, 17, 5, and 4, 19, 5, and 5 with 3 steals, 16 and 4, and then had a bad game for really his first time in a Dallas Mavericks jersey in that last game they played against the Warriors, just 2 points. But kind of gives you a little bit of idea just how great that he's been. He had some quotes that I'll read here real quick. He was doing an interview with Anscape. He said, I had my suspicions when I got the call. The emotions at that moment obviously were pretty overwhelming. And then going back to the hotel room, I got 0 seconds of sleep that night. I was up from midnight to 8:15. I had a flight the next morning at 8:30 to go to Dallas. I was in denial a little bit at first. I can't believe this is happening. If you look at the magnitude of the trade, it magnifies that emotion. So I was shocked. I was on the floor in the hotel room for 2 hours just thinking about what was going on. I eventually came to my senses, obviously had to put one foot in front of the other and think about what I needed to do next. So far, I've had a good job just kind of settling in and trying to stay present. That's the biggest thing for me. It's just being here, trying to help this team win games. He's a pro's pro, man. I think he's going to get a lot of love tonight from Laker fans, as he should. And I think Laker fans got a lot of respect for him. You know, it's kind of funny. The biggest problem that Max Christie had with the Lakers was when they weren't playing him, when Darvin Ham wasn't playing him. That was the biggest issue that Max Christie had with the Lakers. His biggest problem was he wasn't getting an opportunity. But that man is he's a polished 21, 22-year-old. And I'm not even talking about his game. I'm talking about his mental, he's phenomenal. He really, really is. He's and I give him a lot of credit too. I know, some Laker fans are going to say, he's not a Laker anymore. Who cares? No, I don't mind looking at someone like that and just kind of complimenting what a pro that he is. And he'll be phenomenal on the court because he's been a pro. I know a lot of Laker fans wanted to keep Max Christie, but what are you going to do? You're grabbing Luka Doncic. You got to give up something. And I know they gave up Anthony Davis, but what's crazy is that they were able to, keep their first rounder, keep one first rounder, obviously kept Dalton Connect, kept guys like Austin Reeves. So you got to give up something. But Max Christie, I think, is going to get a lot of love tonight. And like I said, the thing that I remember about Max Christie the most over his time with the Lakers is, why is Darvin Ham not playing him? That was the biggest conversation that most people would have. It's like, where the hell is he? But obviously now in a place in Dallas where he's going to get a ton of playing time and had a lot of good opportunities with the Lakers as well. All right, let me give a quick shout out here. You guys know about the Wallace firm, and you guys know about Brad Wallace, a brand new partner to the show, a brand new partner here on YouTube, somebody that I've known for about 5 years. I'll tell you a quick story about my relationship with Brad Wallace. I remember when I initially met with him, he was targeting me at 710 when I was on 710 ESPN. Is like, I want that guy to do my endorsements. He knew me from a lot of my Lakers coverage that I was doing. Not personally, he just knew me on radio. And we've had a great relationship since then. And now he's following me here on YouTube. And I hope no one ever needs his services, but life is life and things happen. And there's probably a good chance that in your life, you might need somebody like Brad Wallace. So let me share a little bit of what he does. And if he can help you, I can help make a personal introduction. If you or someone you know was in a serious injury, you should reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Let him walk you or your family through your legal options. I'm sure it's a very intimidating and daunting process. Let an expert in the field help you. Specifically, here's where he can help. If you or someone close to you has been seriously injured or is dealing with the loss of a loved one, you should find out what legal options you have. You, of course, deserve the best in the business, and he's the best in the business. He can help anybody in the state of California. There's a URL here that we created specifically to just make it as easy as possible for listeners, viewers of the show. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. You can get a free consultation. Again, hopefully you never need him, but if you do, I can help make a personal introduction as well. Everybody knows my email address, and I'm happy to do that. So shout out to Brad Wallace. Shout out to the Wallace firm for being a partner here and supporting the channel. I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you very much for doing that. Okay, let's get back to the show here. And I want to bring on Sammy Long, who's done a great job previewing all the games for us and did a fantastic job previewing this game coming up. Lakers taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Sammy, good morning, my friend. How are you? You are muted. You are still muted. Okay, he's got it. He's working on it right now. So he was doing the preview video a little bit earlier today. And what's going on, Sammy? You got me now? Yeah, I got you, buddy.
All right, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I was getting ready to read, just lip read. I was like, no, I got it from here. Don't worry. I'll read everything here. What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing good, man. How about you? I heard your motivational quotes this morning, getting everyone ready, and you're giving up coffee for Lent now?
Yeah, I think I'm giving up coffee for Lent.
Is that so? What's going to replace that? Are we doing tea or what?
I have no idea. I have not gone that far, but okay. So I've given up coffee one other time. One other time I've done it. This was years ago. It's hell for about a week. Like for about a week, you can't even
get the headaches.
Oh, you get the headaches. You need the caffeine, and I operate with coffee, but the concept of Lent is giving up something that's a little bit challenging, something. So I got something inside of me that's like, you should give up coffee. And then once I kind of called myself out on the show, I'm like, all right, well, I don't think I could walk back from this now.
Yes. And it's like a contract. You're locked in.
It's like a contract. I'm locked in. You're right about that. It's like I'm locked in. Okay. So last night you put out a preview video, Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. Let me start off with this. What do you think is, because I know we all want to buy into the hype tonight. It's Luka revenge tour. He gets a chance to play the Dallas Mavericks. And it's completely fair. But there's also a part of me, it's like, okay, well, this game is not in Dallas, which I think probably adds more hype to it. And then you're also not getting Anthony Davis and Lively and Gafford, and PJ Washington, I think, is questionable. And a couple other key players for them may or may not go tonight. What do you make of tonight's matchup from a hype perspective?
Yeah, it's I agree with you. It would be kind of, as a Laker fan, it's the injuries are probably going to make the Lakers win tonight. I don't want to jinx anything, but they're certainly favored by about 6-7 points, and that's certainly due to AD being out and Gafford and Lively. But I do think their kind of revenge game, what made that so interesting is that you have Luka revenged on Dallas, but AD as well with the Lakers, and both teams kind of exploiting the other team's weaknesses in terms of the Lakers don't necessarily have the size that you would look at a team that can make a deep run, even though they played Jokic, exceptionally on Saturday night. And then the Lakers finally have a young superstar guard, which has seemed to, for years, kind of escape the Lakers. And I talked about my video last night. I mean, Edwards, Shea, Jamal Murray in those playoff series against Denver, there was no guard that could realistically match what he was doing. We talked about, Slee, I listen to your post-game show every day. Where was D'Lo? Why is D'Lo not matching? Can he do it? And it was just he never could. And so I think that's kind of the fun element. And I heard you talking earlier about the fact that Dallas trashed him so bad when he left. Not just they traded him and were like, we love Luka, but we wish him the best. Made like a smear campaign effort to make it look like they were the winners in the trade is going to add a lot more juice tonight, I think, on the side of Luka.
Yeah, it's funny. I hope they don't get caught up too much in it. What I'm sure Luka is going to be feeling a certain way coming into the game. So like you just said, they got a 6-7 point, in Vegas, they're going to be favorites by 6 or 7 points, whatever that total is. I think for me, it's hopefully they can just kind of remind themselves they're playing really good basketball. They got actually a legitimate chance to have home court advantage in the first round. I was doing this yesterday. Chris McGee was on Spectrum Sportsnet. We were talking about this yesterday, and I didn't really realize this. They haven't had home court advantage to start the playoffs.
Yeah.
It might be since 2012. That's how long. And that's we're talking Shaq, or I'm sorry, we're talking Kobe and Pau days. That's how long it's been that the Lakers, it might have actually been against Dallas where they got swept against the Dallas Mavericks. But I only bring that up because there's a little bit of like, keep your eye on the prize, because they've created this really, really good structure of basketball over the last 30 days or so. And I think they'll be okay. Like I'm not too concerned that, Luka's taking it so personal that he's jacking up all these bad shots in this. I got a feeling they'll be fine, but I could see how that can get in the way.
And I think an underrated part of this week for the Lakers in this game is one of the worst losses in the season, in my opinion, was when the Lakers lost to this Dallas team without Luka and Kyrie.
That's right.
And it was an ugly game. I believe the final score was like 99-91. PJ Washington had a big game. Dinwiddie had a big game. The Lakers just looked really flat. There was really no reason they should have lost that game. They only play tonight and then one more time. And the Mavs are only, it's so clumped in the West. The Lakers are looking up at the 2 seed, but if they went on a little bit of a losing streak, the Mavs could kind of crawl back up in there and pass the Lakers. So I think this week is huge in and of itself, that you have to win the tiebreaker against the Mavs. You got the Clippers this weekend, who you're going to decide if that series is tied or if one person, one team's going to have the advantage. Minnesota as well. The Lakers are 1-2 against them. So you want to make sure you're not losing these tiebreakers to teams that at the end of the year, it's going to be so neck and neck.
So I'm looking right here on the standings. You're right. The Clippers matchup is going to be fascinating because, even if you just split with the Clippers lost again yesterday. They've lost 3 games in a row. 21 losses for the Lakers, 26 for the Clippers, and Clippers are in the number 6 spot. So at least Lakers are kind of putting themselves in a position. There's a very, very good chance Lakers are not going to be in a play-in this year. So that's obviously some positive stuff right there. Let's stick to the Mavs here real quick. I was trying to talk about, and I don't know if I'm overhyping this or not, but I was trying to talk about. We know why the Mavs made the trade, and it doesn't really matter at this stage. It doesn't matter whether, I think everybody has their opinion of what they think of the trade, but we know why they did it. And the idea is in this next 2 to 3 years, probably max, they're going to try to cash in, win an NBA title. Obviously getting Anthony Davis, more of a defensive presence, and defense wins championships, as Nico Harrison said. It's a big if. Let's assume they're healthy. Let's say Dallas has got their entire squad. They're healthy. They're good. They're ready to go. What do you think Dallas is in the West?
They could beat anybody, but I think they're going to be a victim of a little bit of the same problem the Lakers have had the last few years. So many times the Lakers have had awful Februaries and they've had to claw their way back in at the end. They've been playing playoff basketball a month or two before it even starts. And you kind of run out of gas. And you're talking about two players in Anthony Davis, who is hurt right now, Kyrie Irving, who has dealt with a lot of injuries his career, and then Gafford and Lively. And as you mentioned, Washington's questionable tonight. I mean, this is not a bunch of healthy players. And I think you could see a lot where they have to claw to get in. Maybe they're likely in the play-in and got to win a couple do-or-die games. And then they got to go on the road and not have home court advantage like the Lakers have had to do. This is why I'm so excited about the Lakers this year, is that I think that they're going to be able to have some rest down the stretch and really get LeBron and Luka just ready for the run. But them healthy, they would be pretty lethal. I mean, Washington and Christie, I think, really make some nice kind of 2-3 combo there. Kyrie, AD. It'd be interesting to see how they played the Lakers, because if you looked on paper, they would kind of be one of the toughest matchups, and that they have like 3 legit centers, 4 if you include Dwight Powell, to go up against the Lakers, Jackson Hayes. But at the same time, the way they played Jokic, I referenced this in my video yesterday. This great X account, Cranges McBasketball, said LA sent help on 80% of Jokic's post-ups last time, and they shifted how they did it. They used to do high doubles with like a bump, and now they're doing baseline doubles. So they were kind of taking away Jokic on the baseline and making them pass out instead of letting him get easy layups. I wonder if that's how they would kind of attack the Mavs if they played them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and here's the major difference is Jokic is one of the best passers in the history of the game. And a lot of those times that he was hitting guys, you remember this, he's always finding Aaron Gordon kind of cutting baseline and getting those easy putbacks. But they had Jokic remarkably confused in the game on Saturday night. And if it's AD in that position that's got to make those decisions, well, Anthony Davis is clearly not Nikola Jokic, and especially is not Nikola Jokic from a passing perspective. So that'll be interesting to watch and to follow. What'd you make? Talk to me a little bit about Saturday. What overreaction on Saturday, or fair to get overly excited?
I think it's fair to get excited about this one, because even the other wins, Boston, New York, Indiana, some of the big wins the Lakers have had success against the East even the last few years. And the team that tortured the Lakers, 13 of 14 wins. And I think the way they won too, not just, hey, they eked out a 1-point win and they gave up. It was 130 to 129 and no defense was played. I don't think that's sustainable. Holding the Nuggets to 100 points, that's – listen, Jokic is going to have more than 12 points likely if they see him in the playoffs. But what they were able to do against an elite big, and I think they kind of exposed the fact that the Nuggets probably aren't as deep as they were the last few seasons. Bruce Brown, KCP, they just had weapons all over. Now they kind of, because they lost those guys, had to elevate your Christian Browns, elevate Peyton Watson. I know he didn't play in that game, but you're kind of asking more probably bench players, more role players to have bigger roles. And they don't have the same kind of guys where that offense of just let Jokic pass out of it. I also heard a thing with they don't want to bench Westbrook because they think that if they do, he's going to throw a fit. That was like a report yesterday. So if the Nuggets have been the number one team standing in the Lakers' way, even over Oklahoma City, just from a mindset thing, I think the Lakers broke that on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, I think anyone that overhyped Saturday night, it was fair. Like, I don't think people truly understand how much trouble the Lakers have had against Denver. And then this is Luka's first game against Denver on the road, and they beat him by 23.
Yeah.
And Luka drops, leads the Lakers and it's interesting because this never happens. Never happens. If you go on ESPN, you go to schedule and you see, each game that the Lakers have played. I don't ever remember a time where they highlight 3 things when you go look at the schedule. They highlight points, rebounds, and assists. I'm not kidding when I tell you, I don't think there was ever a time where LeBron wasn't listed on one of those as the team leader. It was Luka in points, it was Luka in rebounds, and it was Luka in assists. So, and I'm telling you, you go back, here's LeBron, 40-point game. Here's LeBron, 26 points, 11 assists, leads the Lakers. Every single game he's in there. And that's with Anthony Davis that was there. But that's why I go back to that game and it's like, anybody that thinks, it's just one regular season, that was not one regular season game.
No.
And the fact that it was Luka, and it was the fact that it was the first time Luka played Denver, it's like, yeah, so what's the problem here? What issue were you guys having with Denver?
Yeah.
I'll correct that.
Yeah. And the ways that the Lakers would lose these games. It was 10, 12, 18-point leads in game 2 that they would just squander. And there was a moment, I believe there's like 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the Lakers were up 9, and the Nuggets had hit a shot, I believe. They hit a 3. So it's kind of like, is this going to happen? I was watching with a bunch of people, and they were like, the Lakers are fine. I'm like, just hold on. Like, let's, before it hits all zeros, like, we're going to see. And Luka hit a shot, and he kind of looked at the camera and smiled, and I was like, things are different. Like, there's a new man in town, and to your point of, like, this is the team you've had trouble with, like, well, I'm here now. And it felt like a clean sweep to – because the LeBron AD teams had been very similar. And it's like, is this going to be the same narrative with Luka there, just in different players? And, Luka's 1-0 against him. So I do think it was a crazy mental hurdle the Lakers had to get over.
And I think it changes everything, because now you start telling yourselves, however you knew the Lakers before, you kind of got to put it away. By the way, and there's some good in that and there's some bad in that. There's you might have seen whatever the Lakers' history used to look like. Let's just say, let me give you an example. They used to dominate Memphis. Well, I don't know now if they're going to dominate Memphis. I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, or Denver used to dominate the Lakers. Well, maybe that went away, and because until we get a chance, obviously, to see the Lakers go up, Lakers still have, I think, 2 more games coming up against Denver. Well, I think we both know that Denver's going to make their adjustments, and it's not going to be the same exact team. And you're probably not going to hold Nikola Jokic to 2 of 7 from the field again, probably ever in his career. But that's what I think makes the rest of this season exciting, is because I don't know what each one of these games are going to be, where I felt like when it was Anthony Davis, we had so much data. It's like you almost kind of felt like what the team was.
Yeah, and I think you saw this in the NFL a lot. There's teams that are the best teams in the NFL that they play in division, and for some reason every year they gave them problems.
Oh, yeah.
New England used to run through everyone, and they play Miami when they were terrible in Miami, and they lose every single year. And it kind of, to your point, they kind of penciled this in. Well, Denver beats the Lakers beat Memphis. Oklahoma City, we don't totally know yet. Played them once. It was a tight game, but the Laker team looks totally different now. So I can't wait to see them play Oklahoma City. And the Cavs have blown out the Lakers in 2 games, but the Cavs, they haven't seen Luka. It was a totally different team. So it's very exciting to kind of see like how they're playing against these teams. Hell, the Clippers used to dominate for the last few years, major win streaks against the Lakers, and the Lakers whooped them last time, and that was without Luka. So I can't wait for this weekend, the Minnesota game, as well as this one tonight. It's going to be electric.
Yeah. What does this tell? I mean, if you look at the schedule, I'm going to just name off some of the upcoming matchups that the Lakers have over the course of these next couple of weeks. And this won't be, I'll skip a couple because, you obviously have some ones in there where you're expected to win. Dallas tonight. Okay, we talked about that. They got Anthony Edwards in Minnesota coming up on Thursday, who, by the way, won at OKC last night.
That was a great game last night.
Won at OKC last night, and they won in overtime. 2 against the Clippers. You got the Knicks, who have actually struggled against teams above 500. You're at Boston. You're at Milwaukee. You're at Denver. Then you go up against Phoenix, Denver again, Milwaukee again. What do you make of these next? What are you kind of hoping to see over these next? I know we all want to see the Lakers win, but what are these next 2-3 weeks for the Lakers, you think?
I think it's you want to win every game, but especially we go back to the tiebreakers. You were kind of at that point in the year where the Clipper games really matter. The Mavs game really matter. The Timberwolves game really matters. If you're going to drop one, I guess drop it to the Knicks or someone in the East where you're not worried about a tiebreaker. And I want to see if what they did Saturday night was a one-off against holding an elite big to that. I guess he had a triple-double, but not Nikola Jokic numbers. How are we going to do against Giannis? How are we going to do against some of these bigs that are the Lakers looked at, have had a lot of success against Milwaukee the last few years, but are they going to be able to keep it up with these elite bigs, or is that just kind of a one-off game where the Lakers had a bunch of energy and kind of circled it on the calendar of, hey, we need to beat Denver? Is this something that's sustainable? To be fair to Jackson Hayes, I'm not saying you're saying he's an all-star or he's going to be a big-time player for Lakers for years to come, but he has really stepped up in the last few weeks, and I think people kind of took it with a grain of salt at first, which is fair because we haven't seen it before. But he's been excellent. I know it's probably a product of Luka and LeBron. He's certainly the 5th option in the starting lineup where you don't have to worry about him. But I think he has been playing pretty good ball, and I want to see if that keeps up.
Yeah, he's got a specific role, right? He can kick back. There's no pressure on Jackson Hayes. All he's got to do is just roll to the basket, a couple
Dunk the
slip
basketball.
screens, you know what I mean? And dunk the basketball. Yeah, nobody's going to ask him to do much more. Were you surprised, by the way, on Saturday night? I think so much of the attention went to Luka. Fair enough. But were you surprised how easy it was for LeBron to just, okay, no, I'll play off ball. Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'll run the wing and just find me on the wing. I'll pick and choose my spots. I'll still have 25, 9, and 5. And even though Luka led every other category statistically for the Lakers, I'll still put up my 25, 9, and 5. Did any of that on Saturday? I don't think it was talked about enough, but I get it. I understand the attention was on Luka, but I think Bron was brilliant on Saturday as well.
And I think when the trade happened and it was the immediate kind of aftermath, everyone was like, is LeBron okay with Anthony Davis leaving, his buddy? And is he going to be okay taking a backseat to Luka? I think what people forgot about is that for years, LeBron has been asking for Anthony Davis to be the number one. LeBron is not the ego guy that said, I need to be the one, and I want to be playing 40 minutes a night and doing all this. He's wanted someone to step up where he can be the two. And LeBron is obviously one of the all-time greats and playing off ball.
Can I say this, Sammy? I don't even know if LeBron mentally understands that he would ever be a number two. But I think if you basically grabbed the keys and said, I'm the number one, I think at this stage of in his career, he's going to ask himself, is this helping us win or not? Like, I think some of these guys probably mentally could never be a number two.
Yeah.
But are we going to win the game because of this? And I think that's where LeBron's like, yeah, no, let's, if this is working, why the hell am I going to get in the way?
Yeah, like in that's not a shot at LeBron. Like LeBron's
sure.
You see in the fourth quarter that Luka may get out of the way, and I'm sure in the playoffs and big moments, LeBron's like, I'm the one, I'm taking over. But I'm sure LeBron is happy, especially at his age, to be letting kind of Luka and Austin Reeves' emergence and the rest of the team, Rui playing excellent, and Gabe Vincent kind of carry the load till the fourth, and then let him go dominate. I feel it's like a lot of what the Nuggets felt like they used to do to the Lakers. They kind of lull you to sleep with Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and Bruce Brown.
Murray kills you.
Yeah, and Murray and Jokic in the fourth quarter run a two-man game, and all of a sudden you look at there and they both have 25. So I think that we could be seeing a little bit of that where you're letting the young guys take over. And the Lakers finally have a young guard that is elite. I think that's what changed so much is that for years it's always the Lakers would get killed by teams with elite young guards, and now LeBron's got one next to him, and I think sky's the limit.
Max Christie tonight. What do you think? What do you think we see from Christie?
Yeah, I bet he'll have a big game tonight. I've always been partial to Max Christie. It does. Obviously, you got Luka Doncic. No one's complaining, but it would have been great to keep him because it felt like he was kind of hitting his stride right when the Lakers traded him. That Knicks game, the night he got traded, he had a big game. He was one of the big reasons they won.
Well, he's had. I was reading off his stats before you came on. Up until the last game they played against the Warriors, he's double figures every game, and then 4 or 5 assists or rebounds as well.
Yeah, he's been excellent. And you can tell, like, when he first came to the Lakers, he had all the talent. He was just super skinny, and they kind of talked about I need to put on muscle. And now he's kind of putting on muscle. And all the injuries to Dallas has really given him an opportunity. If PJ Washington can't play tonight, he's honestly the 2 or 3 option, depending on where you want to put Clay. He's been playing better than Clay recently, behind obviously Kyrie, who's the one. So I'm sure he'll have a big role tonight, and hopefully he doesn't come back in.
Yeah, it doesn't go off too much.
Yeah.
But take it easy, Christie.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can come back in a couple of years when your contract's up.
Okay. One more question. I'm just curious about the West for you. So we talked a little bit, obviously about Lakers, Dallas. Kind of paying attention to the Western Conference. Do you feel like there's a matchup out there? Maybe it's the obvious one of OKC, even though we haven't seen these two teams play each other now with this kind of new iteration of the Lakers. Is there a matchup that you're looking at like, yeah, that would be a really, really good series that the Lakers can find themselves in?
Oklahoma City is obviously they've earned it. They've been the best team all year. I thought last night was interesting where they showed a stat. They're like 29th in the league in close one possession games. Now that stat's skewed because a lot of times they're blowing teams out, so they're not in those games. But last night you did kind of see the Timberwolves were much more prepared when it got to crunch time at the end of these games, and it kind of outplayed them at the end. And so, maybe this kind of wishful thinking, but you get in the playoffs, these games are going to be tight. So are the Thunder really kind of built to be who's taking the last shot in the last 2 minutes besides Shea? Yeah, I think that would be a good series. Denver still, I think, will be an excellent series, even if the Lakers do match up against them. But after Saturday, I think that the Lakers could be favored in that series. And then I do think Minnesota, not just because of last night, Anthony Edwards and that team, they have a lot of size. Julius Randle, I know has struggled in the playoffs, but if they can kind of figure that out and he can kind of be the two, I do think they're kind of a sleeper in the West.
Yeah, we got them coming up on Thursday, so that'd be good to see a lot of these teams. We get to see a lot of these teams here over the course between now and the end of the season.
How are you feeling about Golden State? Do you take them seriously or no?
I think they could be a headache. I mean, I don't think Jimmy Butler put them in the category of, hey, they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, but definitely made them better. I think for those that were kind of trying to underestimate the trade, I wouldn't underestimate it. I mean, Jimmy he's a really good player. But, do I look at them and think they could make some real noise? I have some hesitation, but I listen, can they win a round in the playoffs? Absolutely. They can. Definitely can.
Yeah. It would be great to see them the ideal scenario for the Lakers is that they get in, give Oklahoma City some headaches, and then Oklahoma City and the Nuggets have to play each other. And the Lakers hopefully kind of waiting in the Western Conference Finals for the winner. That would be the ideal situation, I think, for the Lakers.
Yeah, look, here's what's going to make it fascinating too. If you do end up, hypothetically, you end up a 2 seed or a 3 seed, you're probably still going to be playing a good team, right?
Yeah.
It's going to depend. Like, did Dallas become healthy and move up? Did Golden State get out of the play-in and they're at the number 6 and you got a number 3 seed? And now it's like, okay, Lakers, Warriors in the first round. I think, there are some teams that are fallen. Houston obviously has fell a little bit. I don't really know what the Clippers are, to be honest with you. So I think there's some question marks around them. Yeah. But no matter where you kind of end up, there's going to be some interesting storylines come playoff time. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. It is so deep in the West. There's not like a team that you look at. Like in the Eastern Conference, there's some teams in the play-in that they have zero shot. Like you could make a legit case for a lot of teams, but I just don't think it could come back to bite me. The Lakers lose this weekend, but I don't think the Clippers and Rockets, I think, are definitely a tier down in terms of they have a lot of solid players, but there's not really that go-to guy. And I don't know if you can trust Kawhi on the Clippers because of his injury history.
Yeah, and they got, like I said, there's a little bit of a cushion here kind of building for the Lakers to make sure they're not in the play-in tournament, because the teams that you're talking about, like the Clippers are in the number 6 seed and they've lost 3 in a row. And I think there's a 5-6 game difference in the loss column there. So that's why these next 2 will be important against the Clippers as well. Sammy, great stuff on the preview today. Sammy will be back. Let's see, tomorrow night, he'll have a preview video for Lakers in Minnesota. So thank you for joining the show, buddy. And I appreciate your insight. Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Keep grinding away there. That's Sammy Long doing his thing. So good work on his part. He really does do a fantastic job with the previews. Kind of looks back at the old game for a quick second, then starts highlighting the game coming up, looks at it from both teams' perspective. So catch one of those if you guys are looking for a little preview for tonight's game against Dallas. Okay, let me look at a couple of the comments here. Let me get a super here. Some kind of wonderful. Low-key Vando is the most valuable defensive Laker. With him healthy in 23, made the Western Conference Finals. Without him, early exit. Jackson Hayes is perfect for the NBA today. I think for today's NBA, I think what you're referring to. Yeah, I should, and shame on me for not highlighting and doing more videos talking about Lakers defense and talking about how important Vando is and Dorian Finney-Smith, those 2 players specifically. So I think you're 100% right. Some kind of wonderful. No question about that. I think you're on point on that. So thank you very much for the super, brother. I saw your comment too. You thought I wasn't going to get to the super. You said a super. We're getting to the super. We're getting to the super here. Let's see what we got here. Don't worry. Clippers will rest Kawhi all week until they play us. You might be right about that. Why does it always feel like that's the case? Always feels like that's the case with the Lakers. Sammy was talking about that loss that the Lakers had against the Dallas Mavericks early in the year. Remember Dinwiddie went off? I'm like, of course Spencer Dinwiddie went off. Lakers picked him up and he did nothing. And then he goes back to Dallas and looks like the greatest point guard in the league. All right, let's see a couple more of these comments here. Let's see what else we got here. I have a feeling we're going to match up with the Rockets in the first round. 4-5 matchup. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That'd be a fun matchup. Victor, they play a style of basketball that Ime Udoka, who's their coach, they play a style of basketball. Oh, they'll make it ugly. They'll make it tough. And then you got other guys on the Lakers team that kind of will muddy the water as well. That'd be a fun matchup. I'm not opposed to that. And frankly, I think it would be listen, if you end up 4-5, then that means you got Thunder in the second round. But I think that'd be a fun matchup. And you might be right because there is separation now between the 5 and the 6 seed, which is where the Clippers are, and between the 4 and the 5 seed are where Lakers and the Rockets are. So that I think that'd be a pretty damn fun matchup, to be honest with you. Okay, I got a couple other things that I want to get into here real quick. I do want to point out, and I appreciate everybody that's become an MVP member of the channel. $3 a month, by the way. I'm having exclusive content for members. On Sunday, I did a 1-hour Q&A with members, and we had a great conversation, gave away a Luka shirt as well. If you guys want to be a member, I'm putting a link here, and it's just a great way to support the channel. So my hope is that you guys want to come on just because you want to support the channel. But on top of that, I will have extra content for members, special emojis that are part of, you guys have probably seen in the YouTube chat here. Well over 100 members now. So that's just a great building block. And I appreciate everybody that's supporting the channel that way. And I appreciate everybody that's gone out of their way to gift some of these memberships as well. So thank you very much for doing that. Okay. I got, 2 more things I want to get on here, and then we're going to get out of here for the day. Did you guys see Nikola Jokic yesterday? Nikola Jokic, this is the game after the Lakers beat Denver. They go to Indiana. They had a road game against the Pacers. Pacers have been playing some good ball, so that was actually a good matchup yesterday. Nikola Jokic, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 19 assists. Jokic, 28th career game with at least 15 assists, the most by a non-guard in NBA history. Only Wilt Chamberlain, according to ESPN research, has had more, posting 21 assists against the Pistons back in 1968. Are you kidding me? From a center perspective. Wilt Chamberlain had a game with 21 assists? What the hell? That's incredible. That is unbelievable right there. I did mention the game against the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Anthony Edwards blocked Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They had a 25-point second-half comeback. Timberwolves beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in OT. So really impressive win for Minnesota last night. I got somebody coming on. I used to have him on radio all the time. Alan Horton, I'm working on getting on this Thursday. He's the radio play-by-play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's going to come on Thursday, help us preview that game, talk a little bit about the Timberwolves, where they're at, where they're going, and everything else. But damn, that's a crazy comeback. I got one NFL story that I want to get into real quick. It's kind of interesting what's happening with the Rams. Matthew Stafford, there's a report out there. NFL Network's Peter Schrager reported that the Rams and Stafford have a good relationship. This is on Good Morning NFL. This is nothing between them personally. This is a money issue. Matthew Stafford wants to be paid what he thinks he's worth. He wants to be paid more than $50 million. The Rams did give Stafford permission to discuss a contract with other teams this offseason, despite being under contract for another 2 seasons before he's set for free agency. According to Sports Illustrated, quarterback need teams or teams that need quarterbacks, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders, the Pittsburgh Steelers, have all contacted Matthew Stafford. Kind of interesting what's going to happen there. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know what leverage the Rams have in this. Matthew Stafford is your franchise. Like, that's your franchise. I don't know what they're going to be able to do if Matthew Stafford is not there. We already heard the news earlier in the week, or maybe about a week and a half ago. Cooper Kupp expected to leave. The Rams could pursue a potential number 2 receiver in free agency or the draft. So he's expecting to leave. And then you got the situation with Matthew Stafford. That's kind of a fascinating one to kind of keep an eye on, because if Matthew Stafford actually left the Los Angeles Rams, I don't know what the Rams are. I have no idea what the Rams would be from there. So we'll see what happens on that front. I know more people are asking too, and I will, kind of as we get a little bit closer to baseball season starting, like the actual season starting, or if there's some real storylines, I'll hit on it. So I know people are asking about spring training and things like that. There's just not much to talk about just yet. So if there is a story that's out there, obviously SoCal related, on a baseball front, then I'll make sure to hit on it. So I'll keep you guys posted on that front. That's all I got for today. I'll be back on tomorrow. What do we got here? One more super here. Logan, thank you. As long as Luka runs the offense, we're good. Barbecue. I think he's talking about some barbecue chicken tonight. I'll be back on tonight after Lakers take on the Dallas Mavericks. So I appreciate you guys hanging on or hanging out and being here for an hour plus or so. So Lakers Mavs tonight. Do a post-game show after. Back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you very much for everybody being a part of the show. Shout out to Sammy Long for joining the show. Shout out to our partner, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you to all our subscribers. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tonight.